Hi, I'm Ben. I have to be very quiet because my mom's asleep, but this is another episode recap of Marvel Spider-Man. And this episode is called Bring on the Bad Guys Part 3 and 4. In this episode, Spider-Man is in the first episode, in Part 3, Spider-Man is facing Jack-O-Lantern. Yeah, I actually know that guy from a Agent Venom comic I was reading. But yeah, in that episode, he's pulling up these people off a bus, and he's in his underwear. Well, he's in boxer shorts with his gloves and boots on, and a mask, and just so he can hide his identity. And for the whole part, Jack-O-Lantern is trying to pour out a bus, but they never explain why he was in his boxer shorts and lifting up people out of a bus. But all we know, he's facing a Jack-O-Lantern, and he needs to stop him. So Jack-O-Lantern needs to fight. He is fighting Spider-Man, and there's a lot of Halloween puns. At first, I thought he was the Flaming Goblin guy from another Green Goblin variation, but then he fights, but then it's revealed to be him, and I know him. Then later he defeats him, and he's like, Halloween puns. Yeah, well, I'll let the police take it from here. And then he defeats him with caramel or something like that, and covers him with caramel. Then in the next episode, we get introduced to the Prowler. I actually knew him from an episode of the 90s Spider-Man. They used to PVR on Disney XD back in like the early 2010s, like 2011 or 12. Yeah, and I miss watching that. So, yeah, the Prowler makes an appearance, and it is Hobie Brown, and he has a brother and needs to save him. But at first, and I really like that episode, like how how he helps the Prowler, and how he needs to save the day and defeat the bad guy. But really, he saves the Prowler's life from an electrical current after a fight over water. And he's like, "Why would you save me?" Because because it's a hero thing to do. And then he puts his hand out and he grabs, and then they both lift. And he lifts him up, and Prowler lifts Spider-Man up. And he's like, "Maybe you could be." And I was like, "Thank you. No one ever asked me to do it, but I need to save." I need to leave to help my brother, and he explained like he took this job because he wanted to save his brother because he was working for Silvermane, which is another character I was introduced in the 90s Spider-Man. So Silvermane makes an appearance, and he becomes a machine man guy at the end, later in the episode. But before that there was this thing where Spider-Man pointed out, hey, mafia accents and pointing guns, you're just every cliche ever. And I like how they made fun of that. But then later in Spider-Man, they used the electrical current thing from water and defeated Silvermane and saved the day. And I really like that episode. I like how they became friends and Prowler learned to be good, and they shook hands, and he even gave him a battery and Prowler gives Spider-Man a battery because he has the school project he needs to do. And so after he saved the dogs outside, my neighbor's dogs outside. But anyways, he goes out, and then in the next episode he fixes his science project, but he needs to go outside as Spider-Man because he gets there faster, even though that there's criminals trying to chase him. So then he fights a new villain, Electro, but it's not the same Electro that we know from the other Spider-Man. I actually have a comic of Electro. Black Cat. Here it is, Electro. Yeah. He basically issue number 2 of Volume 4 of The Amazing Spider-Man. And yeah, the ones that are after when Dr. Octopus takes over his mind, but I don't own those issues. I only heard of them. But yeah, this is a different Electro than any other variations. For starters, she's a girl, not a boy, and she wears a different suit, not the green or yellow traditional, more like a black and blue. Not as similar as the Amazing Spider-Man, like the same color span, but like a completely new design that looks nothing like the original Electro. Like, this is Electro by name only. This character has nothing to do with Electro but the lightning powers. At first, when I heard the voice, I was like, wait, did they have their own lady lightning power girl? Because in Superman, he has a character who has electric powers named Livewire. But in this version, Spider-Man fights Spider-Man fighting Electro, and she does have superpowers. It's like her suit is made of electro, so you won't see that Dr. Manhattan rip-off thing. Yeah, like her suit is powered by electricity, so she doesn't really have actual lightning powers inside her body. So no Dr. Manhattan rip-off, but then I spoke too soon because she steals the battery that Peter was going to use for his science project, and then powers her suit, and she becomes a living electric being. And don't worry, she looks nothing like Dr. Manhattan. Then she tries to fight Spider-Man. Then they fight at the science exhibit thing, and then they need to fight crime, and then they need to save the day. And then, sorry, my mouth's feeling a bit weird from whispering. But then they need to save the day, but yeah, Spider-Man finds these school projects like a suit, and he just happens to find all these equipment that can help, and he saves the day and uses the suit and defeats Electro and stops the villain, and she depowers her and turns her back to the way she was. But then in the next episode, same episode, it's part 4, but in the next episode of this, in the next part in this same episode, so he tries to sleuth around and then goes into a warehouse and tries to find out what's going on. He sees a Daily Bugle USB drive and finds out that it's J. Jonah Jameson with the footage. So then he saves the day. Sorry, I keep saying he saves the day. So then he suspected J. Jonah Jameson might be behind this, the whole mastermind of all of this. So then he leaves and then discovers that Miles calls and there's this, "Are you robbing a bank?" Miles says, and it's like, "No." This part gets me worried because I've always hated these kind of misunderstandings in superhero flicks. I just kind of like enjoying the characters. These always bother me. But then it's revealed that Spider-Man's in the bank, but it's a different Spider-Man. And then the police officer says, we always like to think that and then the police have, and then James like, "Are you gonna arrest this menace?" And it was like a live feed from the police officer, is like the police chief, and it's like, we always try to think Spider-Man's a hero because of his actions, but seeing him rob a bank, he is a menace and we need to arrest him. And I'm like, oh man, I wanted to see like if they have further evidence and because of his actions of saving people. But then he fights crime. Well, no, so then he tries to go to the bank and stops the imposter Spider-Man, and he comes out the oven and it's like, no, just whip him. But no, he chases after them, and and then the police chief comes and is like, "Freeze, Spider-Man, you're under arrest." But Spider-Man was trying to go to the Daily Bugle. I would just whip up and go to the Daily Bugle, but then he's like, "Hi, police chief. It's nice seeing you here." And I'll be like, "No, just say, hey, there's a Spider-Man imposter trying to chase after me that's robbing banks and dressing up like me." And you would go and just this and he's going to the and I think he's going to the Daily Bugle, but then he whips his own hands like, "Look, see, I'm not going anywhere. That might prove that I'm not a criminal." And okay, but then it's revealed that the police chief is the person in disguise, but it's not the police chief. They showed on the phone, it's like the live video. It's like, that's live. Wait, you're not the police chief? And it's revealed to be the Chameleon, another character I was introduced in the 90s Spider-Man. But yeah, the Chameleon is behind all this, and it's revealed that it was Captain America from the other episodes, and it was revealed that he was the imposter Spider-Man, and then he tries blasting him with a ray gun. It's like, where is he going? And then he jumps out into public, and I was like, no, don't jump into public, then people will attack you. But then when the people were attacking them, was like, oh wait, that's the Chameleon. And it's like, that's the Chameleon, that's the Chameleon. So then he was like, so then they go to the Daily Bugle, and then the Chameleon disguised as a woman is like, how can you, wait, there's two of me? But I'm right here. But then the Chameleon's like, was gonna get, but then Spider-Man was gonna get the Chameleon, but then Stan Lee makes a cameo as the as a camera guy, and then Jameson's like, Spider-Man's here. That must be a stupid thing to do. And then Jameson was like, and then and Spider-Man's like, oh, come on, can this get any worse? And I'm like, why? This could prove your innocence. There's a camera guy there, and Jameson will be eating his words and realizing that it was all a misunderstanding. But then the Chameleon jumped on Jameson and shifts shapes and pretends to be Jameson. Is like, what? This is Spider-Man. What? I'm the real Jameson. No, I'm the real Jameson. You know that cliche. And then he's like, no, I can't stand two Jamesons. Then he punches one of them. And then Stan Lee says in his classic comic book writing style, how can you tell that one's the journalist and one's the imposter? It's like, I didn't. I just throw the punch. And it's like, why you menace citizens arrest, says Jameson. And then the police chief came in and he's like, we caught the burglar. He's the real imposter. And then the police chief's like, I have to take you into questioning. And then he leaves. It's like, you're not going to make this easy. And then Jameson's like, you're letting Spider-Man go? Go. That's not... You're letting Spider-Man go? You're letting Spider-Man go? Oh. And it's like, and the police chief was like, we caught the burglar. Or that's it. And then Spider-Man goes and takes a nap on his bed. I was like, what if your Aunt May comes? Don't be in your Spider-Man uniform. But then the alarm goes off and it's revealed that he was up all night and he didn't get any sleep. Just like what I did today. Yeah, I didn't get any sleep at all. I don't know what happened, but I got no sleep at all. You might take a nap, but yeah, that's my episode recap of part 3 and 4. And I hope you enjoyed that episode, and you probably might see some new videos and new episode recaps.